Okay, so you know who has managed to escape suspicion way too easily in this whole who attacked Jade storyline? Bayley. Like, yes, I know that Naomi confessed to being the attacker of Jade this past SmackDown, but I and many other people don't believe that Naomi has been working alone this whole time, or that this whole idea to attack Jade is entirely her own doing. You know, someone may be behind it. And you know who makes way too much sense to have been behind it this whole time, even though nobody seems to have noticed? Is Bayley. Think about it. Who has been closest to Naomi other than Bianca ever since she came back to WWE? Bayley. So Naomi returning to WWE kind of coincides with the time that Bayley started turning face with the crowd with Damage Control, turning their backs on Bayley. So the story has consistently been that Naomi would stick up for Bayley and vouch for her and tell Bianca, hey, she's cool, she's my friend, ever since, Bayley turned face. And the story has been that Bianca kind of brushed that off because Naomi wasn't here for like almost the entirety of Bayley's run with Damage Control. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Bayley was still a heel when Naomi left WWE, but she missed a lot of the worst of what Bayley did, especially a lot of the worst of what Bayley did to Bianca. And it sort of got treated by like, oh, it's like a running joke, it's just a cool continuity thing that Bianca hasn't forgiven Bayley, even though Bayley's face now. That's just like a cool thing, but like it's just kind of a joke, it's like a funny little thing. But also it kind of sets Bayley up to be like the obvious red herring in the Jade attack, because we all kind of know that like Bianca just has never forgiven Bayley, she has these issues with her. But more importantly, the fandom kind of intuits these issues Bianca has with Bayley to be like it's a false positive, right? But what if, like, this whole time, Bayley has actually just been kind of gaslighting Bianca and gaslighting all of us to make Bianca's suspicions feel, crazy, paranoid, unreasonable. She's the one being unreasonable. I'm just here chilling. What if that's all, like, gaslighting, and actually, no, Bianca's instincts were right not to forgive Bayley because she actually never changed? Because think about it, did Bayley ever actually really change in that whole Damage Control thing? Because all that really happened is that her friends turned on her, right? Her friends started talking about her behind her back. But let's go back all the way to the beginning of the Damage Control storyline and see if I'm just being crazy. So from what I can recall, the very, very earliest seeds of the Damage Control breakup were planted because we had Io Sky wrestling like a babyface, wanting to go out and do matches by herself, win fair and square with no interference. And Bayley would run out and interfere and get in the way and cost her the match. So we had, at the very, very beginnings, the first time it was ever even hinted that a Damage Control breakup might happen, Io Sky was the babyface, Bayley was the heel, Bayley was the problem. And it's only really sort of after Io won gold, and especially after they started inviting Kairi and then eventually Asuka, but they invited Kairi into the group. It's only really sort of after that happened that we started to see a change in how it was presented. We would have Bayley like heroically sacrificing herself to save other members of the group. But what if that was just Bayley recognizing that already the group didn't like her, they didn't like her getting involved, she had cost them matches, she could feel them pulling away. What if that was Bayley like manipulating all of us so that she actually looked like the good guy in this breakup when really the breakup of Damage Control was kind of her fault? If we have this character of Bayley as this, master manipulator, master instigator who can make people do bad things while seeming like she's the good guy, I think that's a really interesting character, and that kind of aligns with not only the Damage Control breakup, but with this whole thing going on with Bianca, Naomi, and Jade. And I know that as well, at some point, we got the footage of like Liv and Raquel being there. I don't think we know who filmed that. I'm pretty sure Bayley and Naomi are both in that footage, so they could be working with a third person who may not even be on the main roster. It could be someone from NXT. They could be working with a third person to try and make them look innocent. And I would say if anyone's behind that, it would probably be Bayley, because Naomi would be too emotional having, just attacked Jade. Bayley, being the one behind it with her hands clean, would have chosen a night to do this, that she knew Liv and Raquel were going to be there, so she could frame them and make herself seem like, why did you even suspect me, dude? Like, I'm so innocent, right? And now Bayley's on Raw, Bayley's on NXT, she's doing like everything under the sun to be as far away from this storyline as possible, so that we the fans, but also Bianca, but we the fans just don't even think she's involved in this storyline anymore. Yeah? So she is laying low to be as far away from this as possible, so we don't even think about her. But you know who Bayley does still have issues with? Io Sky, Damage Control breakup, that Bayley was not happy with that, whether she was ultimately like the bad guy in that storyline and we just, as the fans, collectively supported the wrong side. They've never forgiven each other. I know they were on the War Games team, but Bayley was making a lot of snide remarks towards Io. Io didn't really say anything about Bayley, but Bayley was being like very sarcastic towards Io, and there was that whole moment in the ring where they kind of stared each other down, indicating that, this isn't over. So we could have an instigating Bayley on Raw, who Bianca now like 100% completely trusts. Bayley, she's cleared Bayley of any wrongdoing. But we could have Bayley playing an instigator between Bianca and Io. So the whole like Bianca and Io storyline has been very, very subtle, but it has been there. Ever since Damage Control moved to Raw, they like very quickly turned face without Bayley being there and started acting more babyface and all that. But especially Io and Bianca, as soon as Bayley wasn't around, they started getting along like really easily, and more than anything else, it was them having matches with each other that were wrestled fair and square. You remember that great match that they had on Raw where Io beat Bianca clean? Bianca like came up to Io after that and said, "You know what? That was a great match. Let's do that again sometime. You've earned my respect." And ever since then, they've been cool with each other. So interesting how as soon as Bayley is not there, Damage Control are babyface and have zero issues with Bianca, right? Weird. But again, we now have a Bayley who Bianca 100% trusts on Monday Night Raw, with the potential to say, Bianca, you really shouldn't trust Io as much as you do. I've tried to stay out of it, but Io stabbed me in the back. She got all of Damage Control to turn on me. Last year. She is not a good person. You should not let your guard down around her. I know she seems like she's being cool to your face. That's exactly how she was to me before she stabbed me in the back. And she can draw on a lot of things. She could say she was great friends with Rhea and she knew exactly what it took to beat Rhea. She used Rhea's own weaknesses and insecurities against her. She's not a good person. And she can also bring up the history of, hey, Io cashed in Money on the Bank against you. She cashed in Money in the Bank against you when you were at your weakest and most vulnerable. Has she ever apologized to you for that? This whole time, I know that, in Damage Control, we made your life hell, and that always seemed like it was me, but it was actually, Io. That was Io's whole idea. She was the one pushing us to attack you all the time. And, I know that I got a lot of the attention and it seemed like I was leading the group, but they just gave me the mic because I'd been around here the longest. Io isn't very comfortable, speaking English in front of everybody. So it just seemed like it was me, but she was actually the one pulling the strings the whole time. And so I think that then leads into, WrestleMania, because right now it's Io and Bianca, and we all know that Rhea's probably going to get added to it. But Io and Bianca need a little bit more animosity against each other. They need a reason to dislike each other. And I think we're going to get Bayley as the instigator for animosity between Io and Bianca, her convincing them that they can't trust each other, making them start to hate each other, because it's going to be revealed that actually Bayley was never a good guy. She never changed. She's been secretly instigating and manipulating people behind the scenes this whole time, including Naomi. and putting it in her head that Jade is the problem and she needs to get rid of Jade. Think about it.